everybody. Welcome. Hey, Andy. How's it going?
That's right. In true theme park tradition, we're going straight from Halloween to Christmas without any break in between. It's just like Disneyland, just like overnight Christmas, all up in your grill.
There was a crew that worked round the clock over the last week to bring our show to be holidays, happy holidays. Can you believe it? We made it through a treacherous, it already feels like November has been a really long month. We made it.
Yeah.
But we are in full swing to the holiday season. An amazing new introduction put together by Andy Garfield himself. A new theme song with the jingle on it, which was absolutely fantastic. We are going to be doing holiday shows all the way up until
the rest of the year.
The rest of the year.
For the foreseeable future.
Yep, for the foreseeable future, right? The rest of the year.
Christmas shows will continue until morale improves.
Exactly. So basically, we were really excited to do this. We're featuring Give Kids the World today. I have a long history with Give Kids the World. Well, 7 years of history or so. But we have a great show. Before we get into that, let's go ahead and dive into the theme park news. But yeah, happy holidays. And actually, I do want to tease this in a couple of weeks. We're going to be talking about the holidays and how and different perspectives on that in theme park environments, which is going to be interesting as well. We'll talk more about that in the coming weeks. But hold on to your hats. We got a lot of people lined up.
The creation of that opening animation started a whole big conversation about inclusivity and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be that'll be a nice chat.
Just a nice, lighthearted conversation here at the Theme Park Design Show. All right. So what's up next for the news? We have a couple. I'll be separate completely away from the election. We know there's been other news in the theme park world. What do we have going on today, Andy?
I mean, it's been kind of a slow news week in terms of theme park stuff. I mean, it's kind of overshadowed by all of the other stuff. Theme park stocks and entertainment stocks and cruise ship stocks were up 20-25% today on average, which is incredible and wonderful and a good sign, I think. Both with the news of the potential vaccine from Pfizer and also the election results. But in terms of, I don't know, in my opinion, I think the only big theme park news this last week was that Disneyland Resort announced that Buena Vista Street will return on November 19th with a $10 parking fee to park in the Simba lot, which I think is kind of funny. They're not charging you to get into the park, but they're charging you to park your car.
Simba lot. So that's behind Paradise Pier Hotel or whatever they're calling it these days. Pixar. Are they calling it Paradise Pier Hotel or what's it called?
I think it's the Paradise Pier. Yeah.
Oh, they didn't switch it over. They didn't want to rebrand it. Okay. When they switched over to Pixar Pier. Okay, so behind Pixar Pier or Paradise Pier is the Simba lot. Do you think they're gonna how are they gonna people transport people? That seems like a really far away to park people.
I think you just walk. I think you just SOL. I don't know. Maybe they have a tram.
Or are they gonna? Yeah, that's kind of interesting. These are the hard hitting things that we talk about here on the show, folks. Which is how are they gonna get people in? Because I'm surprised they just didn't reopen the parking structure. So they didn't want to deal with that option and with social distancing.
I don't think they're expecting that many people, and to be frank, I mean, I don't think you can fit more than like a couple thousand people on Buena Vista Street anyway. Like maybe 1,000 people. I mean, what do you think? How many people do you think you can cram in there safely?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't just open up more sections of the parks, even if it's just nothing going on. Just have people be able to walk in and things like that.
I feel like that's coming. I think this is probably a test.
Yeah.
I think definitely. Why not have the challenge trail open? Because that's outside.
Yeah.
And maybe the raft ride that's outside. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure what because there's such weird guidelines about because we know SeaWorld is open right now because they're a zoo or they are, but none of their attractions are open, only their exhibits. So it's a weird line. But I mean, I'd go to DCA and walk around and just. Why not? It's something to do. Have some beer, walk around.
Well, Carthay Circle is going to be open. Can you imagine the line for the bar? Like, it's going to be just like there's going to be like 500 people in line for 35 seats or whatever their occupancy is going to be.
Well, and imagine, if they were able to mount it, put some Tron stuff back or whatever they did, Mad Hatter or Electronica, whatever they ended with. I don't know. back when I was there was electronica, but like something fun up and have people have fun. Why not have fun outside again, right? Have separated.
I'd walk around Buena Vista Street in Cars Land and eat at Flo's or get a cozy cone or just gaze upon the thousands of square feet of rock work and beautiful lighting and whatnot. Well, maybe we'll do a little remote from there later this month.
That'd be great. Yeah. So are you already planning to go out there?
No, but maybe I will. I might threaten to.
No, I think that'd be good. That'd be a good December thing to do. That'd be fantastic.
Well, let's get to it.
Okay, yeah, Rachel, and you can go out for field research. I should be most likely broadcasting. We're waiting on some confirm. I should be broadcasting live from a location in Orlando next week from an event. So we're getting a behind the scenes. We're just confirming some details, but I'll tease it. But stay tuned for more. It's gonna be exciting. Looking forward to that. A lot of big things in the works right now behind the scenes of this our whole little entity we have here, which is exciting. But enough about us and our little show. We know why you're all here. We're gonna do an exclusive behind the scenes look at the Night of a Million Lights with Stephen Amos. Come on down. Although you can't do anything, you're just sitting there. We're just bringing you on. It sounds a lot cooler though. How are you doing?
Good. How you guys doing?
Good. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming. I'm super excited to learn more about your event. It sounds really cool. Looks really cool. I didn't even know about it until Patrick told me about it. I'm super excited.
Yeah, it came about very quickly. So it went from nothing to something in a matter of months, and now we have, one of the country's largest Christmas light display just being held right here at Give Kids the World. Incredible,
wonderful.
So I think just to dive in, we may have some people we definitely have people watching who maybe never even heard of Give Kids the World. How don't we play the clip about what it is, and then we can kind of get a little bit of deep dive about what you do for them and where we are today in the whole project. So take it away, Rachel.
Hi, I'm Cami, and I want to tell you about one of the most amazing places in the world, Give Kids the World Village. It's a magical place where kids with critical illnesses come from all over the world to fulfill one big wish, to visit Central Florida's most awesome theme parks. When my family and I came here, we were treated to the trip of a lifetime. From our fairy tale villa to the pool parties and nightly entertainment, this 84-acre resort was not just a hotel. It was more than we ever dreamed. We got to ride horses, play miniature golf, dive into VR, and that's not even the coolest part. My whole family got tickets to the area's best attractions where we got to ride the rides and enjoy the thrills all day long. Oh, and I almost forgot. The meals are great and they have ice cream, like even for breakfast. Now, this probably all sounds unbelievable, but it's true. Give Kids the World Village is an awesome place that gives special kids and their families what they need more than anything. A chance to forget about doctors and treatments for a while and just have fun. And you won't believe this, but this fantasy vacation doesn't cost kids or their families a thing. Nope. They count on the support of caring people and companies to keep the magic alive and kids laughing. To learn how you can help, visit givekidstheworld.org.
Ice cream for breakfast. Sign me up.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Steven.
Yeah, so we just actually, talking about ice cream, we just finished building Henry Starlight Scoops, which is our brand new ice cream parlor that, unfortunately, due to COVID-19, nobody has seen it yet. It was due to open up March 22nd. So our soft opening was just a few days shy of it. And it's, it's such an incredible undertaking. We had so many incredible partners who made it come together. But it was the first building that was ever designed by both Universal Creative and Walt Disney Imagineering together. So there's a lot of cool synergies in that building.
Dogs and cats living together.
Yeah.
So maybe take us back a little bit. What's been your involvement with Give Kids the World, and what is your role?
So I am currently the director of development. I started off just working on the amusement side of the business, which is just focusing on our IAPA relationships, both here locally, domestically, and internationally. So bringing back some fundraisers like Coasting for Kids, hosting things at the IAPA Expo, trying to get some, local tours off the ground. And it's really just since then has expanded. So now I direct all of our special events here, including what we're going to talk about, Night of a Million Lights, but also our 5K, our fundraiser where we rappel off the Hyatt Regency, which is a 32-story building, our gala. So anything that's event related falls under our team right now.
And I mean, you just casually went through a lot of events, and I've been to basically all of them. They're huge. The gala is amazing. All the IAPA events are fantastic. It's a hard, how much do you need to raise in normal times? What's your annual goal every year that you have to meet for fundraising?
Yeah, so it's for in-kinds, it's about 35 million. And then for cash, it's now about 15 million. So, of course, due to COVID, a lot of the fundraising efforts have, slowed down. There's no silver lining with COVID-19, but there are silver linings within the village itself. We say our operational costs decreased substantially due to our closure, but still, this is an 89-acre property that just needs a lot of maintenance and love and care, so that when we redo open, it's going to be in the exact same condition, if not better, when we welcome our first Wish family back.
That's great. So I have a pretty. I'm gonna make it all about myself. So when I moved to Orlando 7 years ago, I showed up to a Themed Entertainment Association event, and I wandered in. I knew nobody in Orlando, and I walked around telling people I kind of wanted to volunteer with an organization, and I met somebody named Jovan Harkless, and yeah. And she said, you need to figure out what Give Kids the World is. And so before I got any sort of job, I started volunteering there in just anywhere. So I did the tables, I did the ice cream palace and all this. And I eventually settled into guest services, which is where at the front you greet the guests and you get to give them a tour of their villa. And like the families are over the moon. You're giving out all these presents to them. Like, hey, here's a pass that it's going any ride you want anytime at Disney. Same with Universal. Same with SeaWorld. Here's this. You have every meal's covered. All these things, and it's these families have been through so many hardships, and like being able to spend like 45 minutes with the family, it was just so rewarding. So anybody in the Orlando area to get involved with it, now's not the time to volunteer time, but I'm sure they'll take your money. And I posted the link already. They will take your money. Great, very important cause. But yeah, I mean, it's an incredible place, and you're running. You have amusement rides. You're 24 hours a day. Huge resort. People don't know this whole thing exists. They say, hey, I'm a wish granting organization, like Make a Wish. We'll say, okay, we're going to send you to go to Disney World. And everyone knows that, but they don't really know what happens after that. And this really, your organization takes that on, right?
What I always tell people, I was a cast member at Disney for 10 years. I worked at Yellow Shoes. And I always thought that Give Kids the World was just like a hotel building with a small little convention hall. Yeah. And then we had a team outing, and it took me 9 years of working at Disney to do my first volunteer shift there. And I was this clueless, didn't read the email, wandered onto the property being like, I don't know where I am. Also, what is this place that has pools, movie theater, rides, in the middle of Kissimmee? It's just, behind the Walmart and medieval times. Yep. And then there's like an abandoned, residential area that never got built. And then all of a sudden this stunning property. And then what happened for me was, I was a producer over there, and we did so much third shift work that I would come home during the daytime, binge Netflix, and then get really bored with life. And then I'd pick up these shuttle driver shifts over at Give Kids the World. It was 11 to 3. You drove a golf cart around a loop, picking up guests where they needed to go. And it was a shift that they always needed filled. So I completed my 150 hours of volunteering through my Disney Volunteers grant. And then this opportunity came about around Thanksgiving time in 2017, where the title was like amusements manager. And I had just had my first baby a couple months before. The village really put my life into perspective, because I had an incredible job at Disney, but I'd still complain about my salary, everything going on in my life, my boss. And then you meet these families at Give Kids the World who have been to hell and back, and they're grateful for everything. And for me, it was like I needed a perspective shift in my life. And ever since I've been working at the village, it's that renewed spirit for the family, but also for me too, and all of our staff, that I'm forever grateful for everything that I have. So it had such a huge impact on my life just to be able to work here. So to me, it's a blessing to be here every single day.
Yeah, I was, so funny story. Once again, it's all about me. When I first moved to Orlando, I worked at T-Rex, which is the restaurant. It was the worst job of my entire life. I worked there for 2.5 weeks. And so to keep my soul activated, I would volunteer in the morning at Give Kids the World and then go have my soul crushed at night. So I definitely know what you're talking about, Steve. And then obviously through the years, I kept volunteering. I was on the help with Village Idol, help with entertainment. My wife was a princess for the tea party. So we've been involved for quite some time, which is really fantastic and a lot of fun. And then of course, February comes in and we're hearing about this weird thing out in the distance. It's would never come to the United States. That's just something that happens in Hollywood movies. And then March comes around, and take us through the steps. How did it all go down from the Give Kids the World?
It's funny because we were talking about it, Pam and I, in January, because we were scheduled to go out to Macau for the Asia IAPA show. And we were following along like, I don't think the show's going to happen. And everyone's like, it's going to pass. And then it got worse. And then, we decided like, we don't want to go to China. This would be the worst decision. Fast forward by June, it's like, you wish you were in China. Like the cases were much better than they were domestically here. But it came very quickly. I think it was a state of denial and just monitoring the news. How bad could it get? And then, everybody in the industry, it was like this one day in, early March where everyone was saying, I think this is the real deal. And when the theme parks made that decision to close on that Sunday, we had to do the exact same thing because we could no longer fulfill our wish. With Disney, Universal, and SeaWorld all announcing their closure around the same time, we had families still on property. So when the parks closed on Sunday, we said goodbye to our final family on that Wednesday. It was only one family literally left, and they were good just to hang out at Give Kids a World until, their 7 days have been completed. And that time, we just thought it was going to be a temporary closure. We kept everybody whole on our staff. And we just worked remotely, just like almost everybody else did. And then, we had that, unfortunate reality, by July that, the Give Kids World had to let go of 84% of its staff because, we all of a sudden were starting to realize that it's not going to be a temporary closure. It's going to be extended. And then it was about, I don't know, maybe, July or August, probably the end of July when, Pam said, like, we need to do something. We have to, we have to be on the offense to figure out what to do with this property. And Give Kids World is incredible. I mean, we have an entire residential district that's, beautiful homes. Roads are, we own and manage our own roads. We have a theme park. We have like a Main Street looking avenue, and we pitched 10 ideas, and some of the ideas that never came about, we were thinking about hosting safe trick-or-treating because we didn't know what the climate was going to be for Halloween this year. But, we control our villas. We could do everything really safe. We could bring people into our property and host something like that. And, we were talking the drive-in movie theater experience, which everybody was talking about for a little while there. And that one kind of faded pretty quickly. And farmers market car show, we have this, we have 89 acres. What are we going to do with it? And it was a year prior, I had pitched the idea of a version of Night of a Million Lights in a good year. It was just something that we could host on our avenue, bring in some of the public just to host it. At the time, I didn't realize how much the event would probably cost, what it all entailed to put on, that you would need a lot of guests to make sure it's possible. It's not as simple as bringing in a bunch of crew on a Saturday and Sunday and lighting a show, which my production team very quickly told me that I was very incorrect in. But Pam is an incredible leader. So she's our president and CEO. She's been with the Village for 29 years, former cast member, and just puts a lot of faith in her employees. And, we pitched the idea to her, and, she looked at me and she's like, what's holding you back? And I was like, we just need approval. And she's like, go for it, figure it out. And it was simple as that. There was no red tape. It was just, I called the former technical director of Spectacle Dancing Lights, Bob Crummett, a good friend of mine. And I was like, is this even a possibility? We wanted to run a multi-million, at the time, I was like hoping just to get 1 million lights. We didn't have a name for it. We just we want to put a lot of lights up on the avenue. What would it take? And Bob was like, well, we should have been putting lights up, planning this in March, and then probably started installing lights by June. And I was calling him at the end of July, if not early August. And I didn't have any lights yet. I didn't have any props. I didn't have a plan. I was like, I have an idea. And then Bob called a couple other furloughed people who were lighting designers within the industry from theme parks. And we came together, and within probably 3 weeks, we drew up a plan to light up the entire avenue, and then 5 of our villas. And we went to market. We're like, we're going to call some of our partners and say, hey, if you had the opportunity to decorate a yard, would you be able to promote your brand? Would that be something that you would want to do? Instantly, those 5 went right away. So we said, all right, we'll go down a couple more villas. We said 20, and then went from 30, and then went from 40, and then now we're at 46 villas that are fully decorated. And what changed everything for us in this event was in early September, Jeff Bali, who is the president of Walt Disney World, who is also the chairman of our board here at Give Kids the World, moved mountains for us and found 3.2 million lights to donate to Give Kids the World for this event. And that was something that changed the course of everything for this event, because the density that we were allowed to do it took the restraints off of our ideas of like, well, should this building be kind of, tacky because we can't afford the lights? Can we not do this? Should we, cheat this, not have the direct guests walk this way so we don't have to do a whole side of a building? And when the guests come here, it is, it's numbing to see the density of lights. We've started to fly drones around this property, but it's 6 inches of spacing on, it's very reminiscent of Osborne spectacle dancing lights. But the scope of it is, it's over a mile. So if you've walked the World Showcase, walking Night of a Million Lights is longer. So not only it's a high density for lighting, every single yard is a show scene that's adopted by one of our treasured corporate partners, ranging from Perkins to Hasbro to Boston Market to Legoland to Disney. It's just yard to yard. Some have programmed full RGB shows on these buildings. Some have brought in the craziest. I mean, Kennedy has a moon rover. Legoland installed an 86,000 Lego wreath for a photo op. So not only is it incredible to see the lights that are installed, you're going to want to take pictures of every single one of the show scenes that these creative teams have installed.
So this is great. And I know you have a deck, and not to kill the mood, but so I'd love to go to the deck next. But one thing that's really intriguing about Give Kids the World is that, that you're not open to the public. You can't just walk in on Give Kids the World. And I know that you're strategically, and just for the privacy of the guest, you can't just have 1,000 people show up unless there's a lot of coordination about that. So I just think this is going to be an incredible opportunity for you to showcase the village. So how, any thoughts on that, of the line that Pam and everyone and you have towed over the years about, we can't have 100 people at a cocktail. I mean, I've been to a cocktail reception there. You guys have some rules that you do that you just don't break, and now it's all the rules are broken because no one's here, right? So any thoughts about that?
It's one of those events that it can't be replicated in the future. At this point next year, we should be open at capacity again with our families, because the amount of wishes that we've postponed, it's 6,000 wishes that haven't been fulfilled this year, and then that'll be on top of our 8,000 wishes next year that would just be normally coming in. So you're right. The privacy of our guests is paramount. We would not, there's only a few exceptions. We do a 5K, but you are bussed into property, you run for your hour, and then we bus you right back off the property, and you're clear within an hour. There's no way that we could do this 52-night activation, which is why, we're encouraging the public to come out, because it is this rare opportunity that it's a stroll. You can take as long as you want. You get to kind of see what we give our families in a week there. So next year, if there were to be a version of this, it would not be like this. It's just, we wouldn't have a family staying in a villa and then be like, well, close your blinds because people are going to be taking photos. So, we're encouraging just people to come out this year because it's an open house. And like I said, there's no silver linings in COVID-19, but there are silver linings that we can be finding to help support the future of our wishes for next year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like the best open house ever.
Yeah. Free ice cream, free hot chocolate, free rides. There's no nickel and diming. Once you pay the ticket price to come in, it's just, we want you to be experienced and just have as much fun as you want.
That's great. Well, let's walk through the deck. You have a little bit, all sorts of. Is this concept art or real art? What are we looking at here?
It's concept art. It's crazy. We got really lucky. We have we have a lighting designer and an associate light designer. Our associate is Adam Hoffman, and he didn't sign up to be a concept artist. He started dabbling one day, and I said, that is now what I need you to be doing, because the thing is, it's no mystery that credibility of why would Give Kids the World be hosting a multi-million Christmas light show in Kissimmee? Why would that be the destination this year? So we needed this help to kind of prove to people what this was going to be. So these are the 3 drawings that we want to market with. And we announced this event over Labor Day weekend. Tickets went on sale 5 weeks ago, and our first night of media previews is tomorrow. So the chain of all of this was extremely fast. So we needed some concept art. And when the guests come to this event, it is 100% looks like this too. It is almost crazy how real it came. So if we go to the next slide, this is, we keep talking about these villas and these houses that are at Give Kids the World. Each of these families stay in a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, living room, kitchen, dining room. It's a full house experience. And in the inside, and Patrick, they're beautiful in the inside. Like perfect, it's like they went to the upgrade studio when they built this place. And I built a house a couple of years ago, and it's nicer than my own house. So this is an example of a villa that a corporate partner would adopt. And what we provided them at Give Kids the World is this shell of lighting. So we would do the base coat of lights for them within the brand colors, and if any enhancements if they really wanted to. So this is actually SeaWorld's villa. So that's what we provided them. And then they went in and there is a giant whale tail that's installed in front of it, and then icebreaker signs for their new coaster next year. And then some themed Christmas trees that are flanking both of the driveways there. So it's, again, this event is 100% outdoor. It's a walk-through event, not drive-through. So there's no time that you have to go in. The only time you can go inside is if you have to use the restroom. So we're keeping this 100%. And then the best part about controlling the street. So this is an actual photo of the road. So there are no cars. So, we're talking about, we've done so many industrial engineering to figure out what the social distancing for this would be. We are so far away from ever getting close to that number because we don't have a lot of parking spots at Give Kids a World. So that's, we could hold 5 times as many guests and still be within social distancing guidelines, but we just can't. And, Patrick knows we don't need a lot of parking because everybody has a driveway for the families there. And then we've built a parking lot in Banyan Field in the last 2 weeks. So when people, it is full of festoon lights. We've painted the lines. We've graded it all just to be able to accommodate this event. So this is one of the 47 houses that are decorated on this tour also. And then the next slide, this is just kind of like a behind the scenes look of the sloppy copy version of how we were mapping everything out. This is half of the what the guests will see. The other half is on the right side, but it was a game of Post-it notes where when a new partner would join, we didn't want to have brand colors be next to each other. Yeah. And then we were very friendly with people to not put direct competitors next door or across from each other. And then some people like Margaritaville, like, do you have a palm tree? Out of the 47 villas, for some reason, only one of them has a palm tree. So then it was just like we were juggling. And then, the color coding was red means it was done. Green means, boxes of colors were dropped. There were dates written on all these things. And it was, the production team hated me because I was always making adjustments very last minute. It was basically they were deciding what the colors they're putting on that exact morning just because, we kept adding more and more villas on. And then, American Airlines is an example. There's a villa at Give Kids World that's on a turn. And for some reason, the driveway is like 5 times larger than every other driveway. And that originally wasn't American Airlines. It was Nemours Children's Hospital. And they were like, what do we do with this driveway? Like, we don't have enough scenic for this. And then we had put the lights on both Nemours and American Airlines. And we're like, crap, but they have the exact same colors. So we traded them. And now American Airlines has a giant runway built in their driveway. And of course, American Airlines was sitting on like this 40-foot inflatable airplane. It's made out of like bounce house material. It's that big. And then our volunteers, maybe it's our own fault that the cement pour of our driveways, it's 2 blocks together. They're able to thread Christmas lights down the entire thing to make it look like a runway. And then there is a character holding like the orange wands there. So, it was for the best interest of the event to make it fun. But this was a 6-foot map that sat on a table next to me, and the amount of meetings that we hovered over this. So it looks pretty basic, but good gosh, when we were able to not use this map anymore, it was the best thing. So
I have a question for you. So COVID-19 has been just a complete disaster. We know that all across the world. And, companies have been, the shoestrings or, purse strings are been tied up. How was the response when you started to reach out to these companies saying, hey, it's going to cost them, I presume you're charging these companies, it's going to cost like a bit of a donation or whatever. What was the response that you had from these companies?
We didn't charge.
Oh, you didn't charge. That's great.
No, it was an opportunity. So it was an invite only for all these partners that you see here. And it was an opportunity for us to thank them. Great. But there was a value for them to be participating also because, some of the scenic that they incorporated in their yard outweighed what the sponsorship cost would have been. Like, I mean, Hasbro, they installed today, even though we open tomorrow. Yeah. But like their whole sign package is fully lit materials there. So like they went above and beyond. And the reason also why we didn't want to charge, and this is the ultimate biggest reason, is that you mentioned some of our best partners are having bad years. Yeah. And we didn't want it to be a situation where we excluded $1 million partner who's been supporting us for years and say, you couldn't afford the fee this year, we're not going to celebrate you. So that's where, we originally had a title sponsor on this. And then, we made the decision very quickly to say, this is a celebration of everybody. So it's, everybody that, who's in our boardroom has been supporting us for years. I mean, they all have a villa. So, luckily the ticket sales are offsetting any of those incremental costs that we have. But again, Walt Disney World stepped in with the 3 million light donation that helped offset, whatever the production cost for this was going to be, drastically cut that for us.
And so just for those watching that have never been here, this is kind of like Give Kids the World is this weird place where all the competitors come together. Doesn't matter. You have SpongeBob coming out on one night, you have Shrek coming out on the other. It's this weird place where all IPs and wonderful people come together just to help out the children. Which is fantastic.
It's great like that. And in the last year, we finally both have free. We have a Coke and Pepsi machine right next to each other, because it used to be like, all right, Coke does fountain and Pepsi does cans, and we just all right, now people want Pepsi, some people want Coke. Why make that be a decision? And that's part of the town hall building that got built 7 years ago. People, it's all about keeping everybody inclusive and together. So the idea that people were dining in certain locations across the property, not eating as a family. I love that our whole dining area now, it's all 3 restaurants are together, so that you can sample everything you want, but then when you get your food, you get to sit with your family. So it's that, it's a Perkins and Boston Market are right next to, they're serving different cuisine, but they don't care. And it is refreshing from being at Disney for 10 years. It's like, I was so siloed my entire Disney career to be like, I hope everyone doesn't do well, because it's like that thought process is like, that's a really, kind of a toxic way to think about things. So it's very refreshing to get everybody on the same page here.
Man, I think I would short circuit if I saw a Pepsi machine next to a Coke machine.
I know. It's like, I like Pepsi lemonade, but I love Diet Coke. So life's great,
Wow. What a miracle.
Yeah.
This whole thing is incredible. I didn't realize it was so big. On the scale of it is really shocking.
This is even half of it. Sorry, go ahead, Steven.
You're California, right? Is that you California based? So Disneyland Park is 85 acres and Give Kids World's 89 acres. So for scope and sizing, we've been saying 84 acres for a very long time. And this past month we acquired 5 more acres. Now we're an 89 acre property.
So want us to rifle through the slides, Rachel? We can see what else we have. So this is the map.
Go to the next one.
Yeah, there we go.
So this is just me. The reason why I call this out is that with every event that I ever did at Disney, we had CADs and pre-existing events, and we just don't, as Patrick alluded, we don't do events like this at Give Kids a World. So it was, the idea that we had we thought of the event in end of July, we called people in August, and we had tickets on sale in September. This is just showing we had to do mini walks, mini CADs, we had so many different lines of business volunteering. We open tomorrow, and there are a lot of techs who are volunteering their time downstairs right now, programming shows. We have a lot of pixel map things out here, and it's being all volunteer driven right now. So, this in a corporate, society, this would not have been as possible. And again, one of those other silver linings is that there were a lot of people available who had time to donate to us. That in any other time, this would be a peak season for the theme parks. They'd be installing holiday shows, executing 18-hour days. It just they would have wanted to help. They just wouldn't have been able to. So it's great to walk outside and see. Everyone's always supporting. Like last night, the people who were programming some of our the Disney Villa, they were the happily ever after cast and crew lighting production team jackets. You're like, you got the top brass here. When it's like people who installed the existing show from the garland that came from it's like, all right, the right people are in the room for this event.
So somebody walks in drawing. So are there any let's just say someone is unable to walk. What accessibility accommodations do you have? This is always top of the line at Give Kids the World. So what do you have for those guys?
Again, one of our biggest things here. So just talking about our attractions, for example. When we say that our attractions are wheelchair accessible, that means the wheelchair can actually go onto the attraction. And as much as theme parks want to be able to do that on all their rides, with throughput per hour, it's just not possible. So the example, we have Lori's Magical Flight, which is easy way to explain it. It's a Dumbo spinner attraction, but rather than spinning it, you have to pedal to go up and down. But not all of our guests have mobility in their legs, so that you can bring your wheelchair onto it, and then you can hand crank it to go up and down. Which again, in a theme park, when you only have 8 ride vehicles, it's hard to do one of those because that ride vehicle might not be used every single pass, and when clicks really matter. And just like our swing attraction, we ripped out the whole middle section of it so a wheelchair can lock into it. 2 of our carousel Our turtle and our snail, they're wheelchair accessible, and then our train, the third car, is all for a wheelchair. And those were, that's not that we went out and bought those. If you've ever been out to the IAPA trade show, Zamperla, the show floor for them is like, it's, my problem last year at IAPA was that our booth looked directly at them, and they had a crazy spinning attraction, and I'd be in the middle of conversations, and then it would be so distracting to look at, and I'd be like, I got to focus on this conversation. But Zamperla rides, and the reason I bring them up is they donated Lori's Magical Flight and Kelly's Sunny Swing, which are $250,000 gifts. But the Zamperla family is just so into the accessibility, so into our mission, and that's kind of speaks about how our international reach. I mean, they're an Italian ride manufacturer who they have customers all across the United States, but they're from Italy. That's where they're based out of. It wasn't after when he saw the first family being able to ride Lori's Magical Flight, it's when he turned to Pam and said, we have to keep doing this. And then when they donated Kelly's Sunny Swing, when we were installing, he's like, it looks like you have a little grassy spot over here for maybe another ride. So, the future for we're now recognizing the Florida Attractions Association as an amusement park in their eyes because of having 4 attractions that operate, as well as an FEC, because, we have a full arcade on property too. So, in their eyes, we're a fully functioning park there. But for the event itself, you can see in that photo on the left, we didn't stop all of our capital projects during our closure. We had, the best part of having nobody there is that we could shut down every road, and we repaved and we redid all the sidewalks. So it's a smooth ride if you have a wheelchair. If not, you can rent them at the event itself. And I'm pretty sure our rates are for an ECV at Disney World. I think they're $65 nowadays. It's $10 at Give Kids the World. And so we have a third-party partner who's just sitting on a lot of them right now through the closure, and it's just lending them to us so that we can basically just offer it at cost. To me, I feel weird about nickel and diming on someone who needs assistance with mobility.
Hey, before we move, go ahead, Andy.
It sounds like this whole thing is just it is or has the potential to be like a giant accessibility laboratory for corporate sponsors and park operators and ride manufacturers. What an incredible opportunity to try out new things in accessibility.
Yeah, and it's when we hosted Legoland out a couple of years ago, it wasn't that they weren't doing anything incorrectly. They just wanted to see what we were doing because we adapt very quickly because the guest behaviors change, things change within the industry, and we see a higher volume of it. It's just when a change ripples through the industry, it's biggest with us. So when we brought Legoland out, one of the things that we told them is like, sit in a wheelchair in your park and try to get around and find out where there's any issues that you're having. But one of the things that was really surprising them, it's Matthew's Boundless Playground, which is a giant accessible playground that's in our Fairy Tale Forest section of our area, which is 24 villas that didn't even get touched for this event. I mean, our property is that large. But it's a playground where there's 2 different access points where it's graded that a wheelchair can get to the second story of the playground. Because it's just, again, another situation for other parks. It's the amount of slope it needs to get a wheelchair to the second level of that playground. You need a large playground, plus the cost would probably outweigh it for most of them. But for a lot of these kids, it's the first time they've ever been able to get to the second story of a playground like that. And then the swings are all wheelchair accessible, where you can actually bring your wheelchair onto the swing. So, it's constantly always thinking about, we want 100% guest satisfaction. And a lot of that is through mobility and accessibility. And it's a lot of wins for us when we're able to deliver that for the first time for those guests.
That's incredible. Yeah.
And I want to just a little anecdote. And I'm not trying to name drop or anything like that, but about 3 years ago, I was in a shop visit, and I was actually in Italy with Mr. Zamperla, and Give Kids the World came up in conversation at dinner, and not a dry eye in the house. Everyone was just so happy. He was so proud of being able to bring Magic Bikes, the Magic Bikes attraction, for those that want to know what what's called. And he told that story, and we said we need to put another one right over there. So big shout, they're Nickelodeon. They're top notch in the industry, and everyone uses them. And just big shout out and thank you to Zamperla and for all the designers out there. Go to Zamperla's website. Just check out the ride systems because they're really great. They're great at theming and just a big heart. And just be able to donate, like you said, a $250,000 attraction like that to bring joy to the kids who've never been able to go on a ride like that thrill level. That's just, they're not able to do that because of the accessibility isn't there. So that's really a special thing. So just want to give a shout out to the Zamperla family.
And his son is the exact same way. I mean, just as big of a heart as his father. So I mean, we hope the Zamperla relationship stays strong because the lineage of the Zamperla family is just absolutely incredible too.
So what's on the next page? So I mean,
this is our light delivery that came from Walt Disney World. So this show is all LED. So what I was like, I am the first to admit that I don't know how to budget for a Christmas light show. Why would I? And I'm always also first to say how embarrassing my figures were, because I was like, all right, a box of lights at Walmart costs this much. And if I buy them in bulk, it has to be like half the price. And I remember sitting on a walkthrough or going on a walkthrough with the team. And they're like, you know how much LED lights cost? And I was like, what is the difference between what I buy at Walmart and LED lights? And they're like, you're in for a world of pain if you have to buy all of these lights. And I was like, and then they told me the price of like $7. I was like, okay, the strand price is I'm off by 7 times of what I've estimated for this one. And I remember being like, what would it take for this event just to get to 1 million lights? Because I think that's such a big number to say. And it was like, it's impossible. They're like, it's you can't afford that. So I said in September, Jeff Foley and the relationship and the holiday services team, they were able to find in their warehouse that's a full 52-foot semi truck, and that didn't even hold all the lights. So we had to send the semi truck back again. And then for, Patrick knows what this building is. This is the Hoppin' Place, which is our breakout expo hall convention space that can, hold 500 guests in there. And we've been living in there for about 2 months now. And that's kind of been show support for us where, we've had all of the cases of lights laid out everywhere there. And then, millions of zip ties and hot glue guns. And, the weirdest thing that I didn't know, if you were to ask me how to do some of these rooftops, this is how I would have done it. Some of our metal rooftops, they literally binder clipped all of the lights on the rooftop there. So, fun fact, when you're trying to buy like 10,000 binder clips in bulk, the bulk number stops at like 96. It's like nobody is going out of their way to buy 5,000 binder clips at one time. There's like not a website. There's not a company out there who's like, oh, you're really into binder clips. So it peaked very quickly. And then, it's one of those items we just kept running out of that. I'd just go to Walmart and be like, can I have all of your binder clips right now? So this building right here is showing, this is the day we unloaded the semi truck. I think it was about 3,000 cases of lights, ranging, we got, it was all the colors, and then we had, everyone had twinkle colors in there too. So right now it's like super sad today because we were palletizing everything because, we have some left for the season in case strands go bad. Squirrels bite they bite the strands, and that's a real problem that we're experiencing right now. Because we have a lot of squirrels and raccoons who just like to play with the lights. So we were palletizing things to save for the rest of the show. So the room will be empty by tomorrow. So it's, I feel like I've been in there for like 6 months, and then I realized it's been like 7 weeks. It felt like an election cycle because we all had like 6-foot tables in there, and we're like eating pizza every single day. And it was like a very unhealthy lifestyle, like drinking coffee. Because we were office based in the daytime because we had to do meetings, we had to talk to vendors, clients, all these villa partners. And then you want to see the Christmas lights. And then when we were installing it, it wasn't daylight savings yet. So it didn't get dark until like 8 o'clock. So then you find yourself getting there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then you wanted to stay until at least 8 o'clock at night to see the lights that got installed. And then you want to touch them all till like midnight. And then it was just like Truman Show, like every single day was like, we just came into the exact same building. We did the exact same thing. And now we open tomorrow. And then that room will just be like it never happened again. But that's the exciting thing about events and productions and teams like that.
So every light is controllable. So you didn't have to plan ahead of time of which colors were going where and all that.
No, we had to determine every single color. These are they're not RGB lights. They are it's the blue box with the blue lights in it. And that's why the production team hated me, because I was never confident to be I never wanted to lock in more than what had to be done within the next 24 hours. Oh, wow. And the team that was prepping it, and one of the most volunteer driven thing that we had to do is we called it super stranding, where it's you open the box, there's 24 packs of lights in all of them, and you pull out 6 of them, you test the lights really fast, make sure that they work. And then you take the ends of the lights, you put them together, you zip tie them so that they can't come unplugged, because when you're breaking them off of the building, you don't want them to be able to unsnap from each other, or if a guest pulls on them. So volunteers had to zip tie every single strand of light together that was going up on the building. And then we had to remove the tag off every single one and then the fuse on every single one. So it was like it was great to bring volunteers back to Give Kids a World, but it was very, for about a month straight, it's like we needed just to zip tie Christmas lights together. But whatever, we had some volunteers who like, I was going to watch Netflix for 8 hours today, so I'm going to watch Netflix for 8 hours today, but I'll do lights at the same time. And I was like, that's great by me. So it was a very cumbersome process to get all these strands together to even get into the field.
And that's an interesting thing. So, you have, and I had no idea that you did. That was so, I actually really appreciate that you, to all the supporters that have been out there for so many years, that you gave back and just said, we're going to decorate these and let's get your company out there. Like it's a interesting way to kind of theme out, with your experiences with IP and get so many different companies engaged, which is like, I know it's corporate America and that's kind of weird, but also it's like, no, you want to see what Legoland has to offer and like American Airlines and all that. Like, no, I want to see what they have to do. So like, I think that was a really great solution and a way to reward everybody win-win. So speaking of, you're selling tickets, and we know that Give Kids the World is a very interesting thing because you have staff members that are there to keep the place running, and then you have volunteers. So like, where did you draw the line between volunteers that came in and people that were getting paid? If you mind answering, like how did that work out for you? You know what I mean? Because there's like, if you say, hey, I need volunteers to Give Kids the World, there's 1,000 people lined up around the block, right? Yeah,
that was this event was the first entry point back into volunteering at Give Kids the World. So it was, we debuted our, COVID precautionary methods. It was temperature taking, masks. I mean, the tables in the room are all socially distanced from each other. It was just, it was weird that they reopened the village from a volunteer capacity within an event like this. So it was where we drew the line for techs was that we don't allow volunteers to go over 8 feet on a ladder. So it was, so we couldn't let any of our volunteers go on a rooftop. So we had a team of 24 full-time techs who worked 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then we divided them up 12 and 12 so that we were running crews 16 hours a day. So the daytime crew could do certain things and the nighttime crew could do different things. But it was, we were operating 14 lifts every single day from our, we had 2 80-footers out there to a fleet of 45 and 60-footers out there. So it was a incredible undertaking of 24 crew a week. And then we had about 400 volunteers over the course of the last 8 weeks who could do ground level stuff. So when you see the villas from the gutter line to the ground, all of that was done by volunteers, all the bushes, the amount of Christmas lights we laid in grass just to make the places glow, easy for them to do. And then just there was a lot of show readiness, just, as cumbersome as it sounds, like pressure washing the property again, cleaning certain things up again. It was, it's been a huge effort from both the staff, which, we were as small as 25 staff because right before we closed, we had 207 full-time staff here, or 200 staff working here, went down to 25. And then now we're going to reemerge with this event with 80 staff. So we're able to go back up again and hire a lot of our previous staff back.
That's great. So we have maybe before we go to the next slide, we have a question from the audience. Rachel, I'll put Nate's up there. How do you guys handle power distribution for all the lights? This is hundreds of amps, even with LED. I assume one of your partners was able to provide generators and distribution gear.
It's surprisingly the amount of power that the LEDs are drawing are just sitting off of normal outlets. We've had a little drain issues on some, like so Town Hall. There's 30,000 lights on that building. And that's where we saw some of our red lights were dimmer than other lights. So this is an example of, what it looks like when we're installing these buildings. It's just lifts on top of lifts. But I think the way they described it to me, the people decorating holiday services at Disney, that said, if you plug in all these lights, it's just as much as doing 3 refrigerators of how little the LEDs are drawing. You can do 90 straight. They recommend only 45 strands connected together for one outlet. But could do up to 90. So we haven't had any problems yet. I was sharing earlier before this started tonight, the biggest problem we have is water. So it's, with 3 million lights, there are certain cords that are stuck on the ground or might be near a gutter line or might be pooling with water. So, they're doing what they're meant to be. They're popping. So that, the lights are off right now. So, I mean, only in 2020 would we be guessing that a hurricane could potentially be hitting us right now. I'm the stupid one that decided to open up this event on Friday the 13th also. So, I mean, there's a lot of, Friday the 13th in 2020 was like, why not play a little roulette with what this event would be? And of course, they're like, well, we'll give you a hurricane if that's what you really want. But we had no power distribution problems.
Cool. Let's, so the quick, so we have the slide up here. You have these forklifts and all that?
Yeah, so it was it became a juggling act. So the reason why we kind of went into daytime and evening crews was sharing of lifts. Sunbelt as Synergy was a lift company and Sunbelt's a lift company. We're getting into the nitty gritty here, but I love nerdy stuff. Synergy gave us a handful of lifts for free. Sunbelt gave us almost everything for 90% off. It was basically like just help us get the product there and pay for the gasoline to operate these things. I mean, it would have been nearly, $50,000 to $60,000 in lift charges, which was almost all vacated because of the support of the event. But the 80 footers are hard to come by, and anything larger is it can't fit on the avenue. When we first walked the event with Sunbelt, they're like, you have all 6 foot sidewalks that lead into your main street. Like, you didn't build wide. I was like, oh my gosh, you're like, how, so we couldn't bring a super, any of the big lifts in there. So the 80 foot, we basically ripped out all the bushes by Lori's Magical Flight, put boards down so we could drive vehicles into it. That's the saving grace of not working for the theme parks anymore. Like at Disney, you'd be like, I have to call horticulture about removing a bush, and the answer is going to be no. But the alternative would be like, can you helicopter a lift in if you work at Disney? Like that's more reasonable than pulling out a bush. The reason why we split into 16-hour shifts is that we were sharing assets then, because as we left the neighborhood area and went to it's a 3-story building there. So the 80 was just reaching the top of that building right there, as well as our 80-foot Tinker Toy set from the rendering. So those are hard to come by, but it's insane to think about 3 million lights went up on 60 buildings and it took 8 weeks of crew. And it's just, knock on wood now, I mean, because we're getting hit with rain, we didn't have a single rain day in our production. We ran flawlessly every single day of it, never had to adjust the hours. We never had to go on a Saturday. It was very ideal. What I would have done to trade in this week for any of the other weeks, yeah, but it's okay.
All right, what's up next? There we go. So scenery, scenery. What do we have? This is also awesome.
Yeah. So we told our partners scenic load-in was October 1st to November 1st. So then, of course, everybody waited till the last week of October to install everything.
And an amusement park or theme park project too.
But jokes on them, the event didn't open until 10 days later. So it was a fake time. I knew they'd all come in late. So I had all last week just to tinker with lights and this week to tinker with lights. But on the left, that's the moon rover. If you're not into space like me, it's not a real moon rover because they leave the moon rovers on the moon when they come back. So it must have been, this is for anybody who's in the theme park group, there's an e-stop right in that when you sit down in it, it's a photo op, but there's a giant e-stop in the middle of it. Like, what did that thing used to do? I don't know. But it's just like a giant, I like to envision them on the moon and then e-stopping the ride vehicle and just going, we need to stop for a second. And then
you just said that they're photo ops, so you can actually jump in and take pictures on every one.
I did, and I originally the moon rover was not a photo op, and I put it in the grass thinking nobody would want to take a photo in it. And then in our preview version of this, everybody walked in the grass, and then it became unsafe. So then I put it in the driveway, and then made it a photo op.
Test and adjust.
And that's what's cool about. So that came from Kennedy Space Center, of course. And that's on a 4-year loan. So when we're done with this, that'll actually go in front of Henry Starlight Scoops. So our kiddos can get pictures in a moon rover also. So we'll be installing that in a semi-permanent way after this event.
Before we move on, sorry. Yeah. People have a tendency to just want to donate all these stuff to you once they've done it. Has there been discussions about all these things that everyone's created? I see Snowman, I see the Lego wreath. I mean, are you going to get a lot of things just for recurring for your Winter Wonderland? We haven't even talked about the entertainment you do, but how much of stuff do you think is going to be left over and donated so that it can be used throughout the year after COVID-19?
I'm going to make it really challenging for everybody. It's the window of time will be 5 to 5:30 on a Sunday, and the gate will be broken sometime. It's some of these items are on incredible loans to us, the ones there on the right. Of course, they're from Legoland, and it's weird because every now and then, like someone will post a time hop photo, and it'll be like the family photo in that wreath, and I'm like, wow, Legoland actually decided to not put that out for their guests because they wanted it to be a Give Kids a World instead, which to me is incredible. And similarly with that snowman, they're going to want some of those items back, but with some of the production budget, a lot of things were released from our side, but we did have to purchase some items, and then we did have to enhance a ton of systems. So one new thing that our guests are going to not even notice, there's BGM now in 100% of Give Kids a World.
Oh, wow.
So we put speakers on every access point that you could find, that shooting Wi-Fi signals at all the speakers, so that when you walk it, it's going to play Christmas music. Again, the guests won't notice it because it's only an absence of noise that you ever really notice. But when our families come back, that became a win for them. So they'll walk back on Thursday, which is Christmas, and they'll hear Christmas jingles all the way back to their house, which is, to me, there were a lot of cool things that got rolled into the budget for us that are going to be enhancements for the guests when they do return. So do I hope some of these things will stay? I hope that they just look at this and go, wow, that sounds like a perfect, the one thing that is kind of funny. So we leased some items for Saravalli Foundation. They have a villa there, and he just only wanted Nutcracker themes there. And we called up the company in Indiana called Winterland Incorporated. They show it on the IAPA show floor. And they had told us that any of those two-dimensional wireframes, the things that look like the water pageant at the Polynesian water, like those aren't leased. They need those back. But they said like any of the 3D items that they sent us in the catalog, like the ones that were discounted, like if you rent it once, you keep it. So right now I have 2 12-foot Nutcrackers and 3 9-foot Nutcrackers that those are gonna be so much fun to have for the holiday season next year. But then my support services team is like, where am I supposed to keep giant Nutcrackers on this property? And I'm like, just bring them out every Thursday. Roll out 12-foot Nutcrackers. So there are some things that Saravalli Foundation bought those for their villa, and then Charlie Saravalli said you could just hold on to those afterwards. Then so
before we move on, I want to say a couple things. So you may not know this, but Andy Garfield is one of the best theme park composers, musicians in the industry. I'm sure he'd be happy to do all of the BGM for Give Kids the World from this day forward, and throughout the land. I know I'm not sure what you're playing right now, but I'm sure he'd be happy to donate his time to do that.
We'd be great because we have a license agreement right now, but up until recently it was all of the unlicensed Christmas carols that you can imagine. Very kid bopsy kind of music. So
I could definitely be happy to consult with you on that, because there's a lot of ways. I think that you could probably get the way that you have corporate sponsors and donors. I think that the performing rights associations like ASCAP and BMI would probably waive blanket license fees, so you could play any music you wanted to. And I can definitely hook you up with the right people for that.
I know it's one of those things where it's like easier to ask for forgiveness and permission, but now that we're talking about it, now I have to ask for permission. So
well, yeah, I mean, it's a nonprofit too, and like nobody's making any money off of this. So I mean, it's I don't think they're not going to come for you.
You say that now. The more we talk about it, the more they're going to come for me.
I mean, I think it's definitely within the realm of possibility that you could strike a deal with them.
Yeah.
So before we move on, you mentioned something that I know what you meant, but nobody else knows. Is that you said Thursday night we can reuse the Nutcracker. Mm-hmm. So Give Kids the World. I'll throw it to you in a second. But Give Kids the World, they have every night they do a different level of a party and entertainment. So they have Halloween night, which is a Halloween party. They have Winter Wonderland on Thursday night, which includes a parade, all sorts of great things. They have a village, or I'm not sure what they're calling it now, but a talent show on Wednesday nights. Maybe called Village Idol. Maybe it's changed. I don't know. I haven't been in a long time. And
you're doing great. Everything is correct you've said so far.
Okay, birthday parties. And so they do all these things so that no matter what happened the last time that holiday came up with the family that was going through crisis and we know what the context of this whole village, they're able to just have a fun, safe night celebrating the holidays or Halloween, or having a pirate and princess party on the deck where there's a giant pirate ship. And so those are the things that happen nightly at Give, because it's a magical place. And we went through this. You actually glossed by this. There's 400 volunteers that have been a part of this project. Every week, I don't know the data. You must know this, Stephen. How many volunteers on a normal week how many volunteer shifts are there at Give Kids the World? I forget the number.
Yeah, so in normal operation, it's 1,800 volunteers a week. And with Night of a Million Lights, it's just under 2,000 volunteers needed a week now. So we're actually tapping into even more than we've ever needed before. And in a labor perspective for theme park, it's saving $8 million of what would be labor. So I always tell people we save all the fun positions for the volunteers and we leave all the boring stuff for the staff. So that really is true. And I always tell people, and it's a very embarrassing photo that people have of me. I was, again, I don't understand my mindset when I used to volunteer here because I didn't do any research. I would just be like, oh, it would be like, I would have a time slot that's available and that would be paramount for me. And then I would just come and do whatever that shift was. And I remember I picked up one called Winter Wonderland, which was like, man, I really want to work Christmas because I want to see it. If I would have just like gone onto the website and read volunteer details a little bit more, I would have learned that Winter Wonderland, you're in the parade on Thursday nights. And we had just had the baby and I was like, I was just doing it on my own time. I didn't really know anybody. I didn't bring friends with me. So they told me to go to the second floor of their town hall building because that's where all the performers were going. And at that time, I still had no idea what I was doing. And then they start this draft of like, you have to dress up in the parade. You can be a toy soldier, you can be a dancer, you can be a reindeer. And I didn't realize that the non-embarrassing costume distribution happens in the beginning and like you have to ask for it right away. And if you wait until the end, it's not a situation of you don't have to be in the parade. It's like, here's a parade costume that might be like one size too small for you. So I remember I was a reindeer on Santa's float, like with the nose painted and everything. And I remember just texting my wife being like, somehow tonight I am in a parade dancing and I am Santa's reindeer. And this is what my Thursday night is. But you've hit on it perfectly because, all our Wish families, they might've been in the hospital for years. They might've been battling, and this isn't just only impacting the Wish job. It could be impacting the siblings and the parents. And, this place is meant for everybody. It really renews your strength for everybody in the family there. And, we also don't know, how much longer a Wish child might be alive for. So for us, it's really critical that, we give them a week of holidays because it could be their last. And that's why we do Halloween and we do an Idol Day. We do a birthday party. We do Christmas. And we just introduced in January. It was originally it was a game show. It's called Ready, Set, Think on Saturday nights. And the team, our entertainment team, they were challenged to kind of think of, if there's something that could be big and that needed a drastic change, what would it be? And we decided to discontinue the game show. And what the team brought out was it's almost like a prom, very much like a father-daughter, mother-son ball. It's like you get to go to the dance with them. And like, for me, when I just heard about that, like, to me, that did something to me because, what the parents are going through, I mean, there are such champions because they have to keep it together around their kids. And like, my kids are healthy and we were born, everything's been great, everything in their life. And I get emotional thinking about like having to, being at Give Kids the World and doing like a father, daughter dance. And I was speaking, I remember I was at Hershey Park speaking at an American Coaster Enthusiast event and explaining the event. And like, it like tore me apart because thinking about what that event really does for the families there. And it's something really special because these kids, they get Disney, they get Universal, they get SeaWorld. And they also get everything within 100 miles. They get Busch Gardens, Legoland, everything is free for them. But what happens within the walls of Give Kids the World is also really special. It's 166 other families at the same time where, you might be looked at differently, but it doesn't, no one's treating you any differently here. Nobody talks about race or politics, or it's just a place where people are coming because it's their child's wish. And, it's just, for me as a parent myself, seeing other parents being able to talk to somebody who can actually relate to them, what's going on. This place is just incredibly special. So that's why we see a lot of our families, they run out of the gates right away on day 1, day 2. They spend all this time in the theme parks. And then by the end of the trip, they realize that, they want to be spending more time at Give Kids the World. It offers them everything that they want to do, but it offers this camaraderie amongst the families too, that, they're not probably going to find as easily at home. They can always find other attractions, but what happens here at the Village is, that's what to me is really makes this Wish trip very unique.
That's amazing. It sounds like an incredible like summer camp kind of thing, kind of an environment, where there's no rules, and everybody's, it's a great equalization of everybody, and they can just, let it all hang out.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I just think that, when I, I've been in the industry for many years, and after working at Nickelodeon or wherever I am that day, no matter what happened during the day, going and volunteering if you're in Orlando at Give Kids the World, during normal operation, like really, no matter what stress you went through that day, I think we all come together and realize that, our experiences that we create bring families together. And it's really, it's really incredible. And that Give Kids the World is a huge guiding light just to bring perspective. So I appreciate Stephen. You went to the places I wasn't going to go, but you can do it. I won't. But it was like, it's a challenge.
Yeah. You never know where it's going to go. And, that's, we started doing some previews of this event just for some influencers. We brought in some families, some friends. And it's been a good feel. I mean, this place is meant to have families here. It's meant for people to ride the attractions here. And it's just, when we first closed down, we turned off everything. We turned off the music. We just shut the property down. We closed down a lot of the buildings here. And then we realized that it's our own mental state also that we're kind of concerned about too. So we turned everything back on. I mean, the amount of times that Pam has served ice cream out of the ice cream palace for the staff herself. I mean, everybody who knows Pam knows that she loves to serve ice cream, but for us, she was keeping the morale going, knowing that, it's a very important part of our life. I mean, a lot of people make a choice to work at Give Kids the World. So it's nice that, starting tomorrow, this place, it might not be wish families, but we're working on the same mission that, all the funds that we're raising are going to go towards those future wishes. And for me, it's not a lot, not a lot of people know what Give Kids the World is. So yeah, guests are going to be able to, experience this incredible light show. They're going to be able to ride rides, eat free ice cream. But while they're here, I know they're going to walk in and they're just going to be like, what is this place? Like, what did I just drive into? And then throughout this event, we've threaded in, what our mission is and what we do every single day, that hopefully when they leave this place, they have a better understanding and they share the story.
Do you guys ever, do you bring in like celebrities from like film and television or anything like that at all as well, for like, it's like suddenly like Robert Downey Jr. is at dinner with you, that kind of thing?
It's one of those things where it sometimes happens. I think we're always on the cusp of, we should have it more. And I think that's one of those things where I think events just like this are helping to get the brand awareness out there. The media coverage for this event, it's been a story that tells a lot of story. It's grown because it's talking about a charity trying to reemerge, talking about, how to navigate the COVID world. We've lost a lot, but now we're coming back. It's, so we've seen news stories. I mean, tomorrow, like even like USA Today is coming out, People Magazine's coming out, all of the local stations, Fox is out here. So it's events like this that we're building that credibility skill of, being able to tell our story. Because once you hear what it is, you're like, I knew what that was, but I didn't know where it was, and I didn't know how to have an exact location. Because it's, as Pam says, we're a good steward of the dollar. 92 cents of every dollar goes back to the mission, because we don't spend money on promoting the brand, because we're not selling a product either. The wishes are coming here one way or another. All Disney, Universal, and SeaWorld wishes come to Give Kids the World. It's, that's where these theme parks send the kids to. So for us, it's not a promotional campaign to be like, let's get more kids here. So that's why more people might not know about us. And then on top of it, when the families leave, we don't solicit them for any money. It is an experience that they get to enjoy. And then when they leave, they don't have to hear from us anymore. So the only way we can be successful is that family that had this experience here goes and shares the story with somebody else. It gets inspired to get involved also.
But I mean, having said that, you raise tens of millions of dollars a year. So the mission itself is very powerful, especially in the amusement industry. So let's do that a little bit later, Rachel. So we have even more stuff. We'll try to get through the deck here. What do we got here?
Yeah.
What are we looking at?
Oh, great. This is just showing the life we live in. For some reason, last Friday night, I don't know what semi-delivery company comes to a gate at 11 p.m. and expects somebody to be there. But we were there on a Friday night because we were still working. But I remember Give Kids the World's on a dead end. So when you see a semi go by, yeah, almost, because our windows face the road. I'm like, so whenever I saw a big truck go by, I'm like, that's for us. So of course, this is 200 wireframes for the production here. And of course, 0 on pallets. So nothing was on a pallet, literally nothing. So I was like, it was an assembly line that took hours to unload this truck. And that's Hillary. That's our lighting designer. When you come to this event, She designed every single one of the buildings for all the lights on every single villa, every single building. She did it herself. She is an absolute rock star in the industry. And then on the right side, that's just Admiral Akbar. That's a mock that we have those billboards in market right now. So it's Clear Channel donated billboard space to us for this event. And Pam made Pam, for some reason, had Clear Channel billboard frames already to begin with. And then she made us fake billboards. And then the only thing I brought at Galaxy's Edge was an Admiral Akbar. So he always is posing in happy poses in front of it.
Is that Nikki Rossini?
What's that?
Is that Nikki Rossini?
That's Hillary.
Hillary.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No, I see the resemblance, but no.
All right, what's up next? We'll power through. Oh, so just some of the scope. So I mean, we went in. This is a net lighting situation for us, where we went down with all reds first, and then we went back in, and then individually netted the white lights on there to just enhance the mushroom even more, which is a very tedious process there. And we love our castle. Is designed by iTech, who has a villa here. But they made literally none of the castle points accessible and very impossible for a lift to even reach. And then the last slide is, since we showed a Legoland rendering there, that's what their villa looks like at nighttime. So, they flanked both the driveways with their photo ops there. We lit the grass on that, and that's a building with 6-inch spacing. Then there's C9 light bulbs on the whole framework of that. And then, we've decorated every single tree on top of everybody's yard. So, if there are lights to be hung up, there are lights hung up on this event, and it's just insane when you walk by. You're not even gonna know where to look. But we did 170 trees last week on our punch list, and before we did the trees, the event looked great. And then also when you enhance the trees, it's just like, I don't know. I can't believe the team that put this together. I had no part of actually installing the show, but it was a team of 5 production crew that have been working on it, and then 24 techs who just, I always tell people this is that if this event was happening in middle of Kansas, we wouldn't be this fortunate, because the amount of labor, like this type of tech labor, doesn't exist anywhere else. There were people who have Central Florida just has a lot of people who have done Christmas light projects at a large scale, and it's very lucky that they were all looking for work right now. And it's great that we were able. For me, I love that we were able to give 24 techs 8 weeks worth of labor. Unfortunately, we can't keep them on afterwards, but when they first started on that day, it wasn't as much about the money as that they've been doing that kind of work their entire life, and then have it shut down. It's a skilled labor and it's a passion for them. So you could see it in their work. They never complain, except when it was like 100 degrees on the rooftops. But that's very justifiable, and they can be mad at me about that. So
fair enough. Well,
that's my slideshow.
I love the slideshow claps and snaps. Questions. But let's go ahead and go to we had an audience question, a little bit unrelated to this event. But Nicholas wants to know, what are your long-term expansion goals for Coasting for Kids?
Hi, Nicholas. Well, my long-term goal is to actually have a West Coast event that was scheduled but canceled this year. We were out at we were supposed to be at Santa Cruz Boardwalk this year, but that even right now we couldn't host that event like that. So what he's talking about, so Coasting for Kids is an event that we host. We brought it back last year. It's for guests, for people who want to fundraise $100 for Give Kids a World. At a certain theme park, they get free admission for the day, as well as ERT, so they get to experience a few of the attractions before the park opens. This year was supposed to be our largest year, but we were going to have 17 theme parks hosting it. And then, of course, due to COVID, almost all of them canceled, but we were able to still host it at Kentucky Kingdom, Holiday World, Kennywood, and Lake Compounce this year. And I had the opportunity to actually go up to Holiday World. It happened on Hollywood Nights this year. So a group of coast enthusiasts. It was all very safely done. I mean, there's all the social distancing, so it wasn't the exact same event. But the amount of money that those 4 parks raised was, triple the goal for what they should have been raising. So even in a bad year, those 4 parks raised over $50,000 for Give Kids a World. So in a year that we were afraid that, theme parks couldn't host and donors wouldn't be able to give, something about our story resonated well with people about, the absence of wishes and the idea that we have to fulfill them, whenever we do reopen. So, it's a testament to this industry. In the hardest of times, they're still the most compassionate, caring, and giving people that I've ever met in my life. So I'm very blessed that I'm able to work with those types of people, even when I'm not at Walt Disney World.
So I want another story about me, but it relates to this. Several years ago, maybe 5 years ago, I actually was volunteering, and I flew out to Knott's Berry Farm this is back in the day, so this event's evolved, so I might not be characterizing it correctly. But I was there to help out a person who was friends with one of the characters, like the gingerbread man. I was there to help, and I participated in the coasting for kids at Knott's Berry Farm. And I rode Jaguar like 50 times in a row. So we would go on there, and there's a whole crew. And then we also went on their like or their Wild Mouse coaster. I don't know what it's called. I kind of forget. But it was really fun. And people were like, what do you – like they closed the whole entire train down, and we were on it for like 3 hours straight. And it was really ridiculous. And for those that know Jaguar, you know that was a lot of fun. And we didn't get off and everything. And as we rolled back into the station, people were like, who are you people, and why are you on this for that long? And I know I'm saying that. I know that, Steven, I know the event's probably evolved over the years, but it was actually really ridiculously incredible to be able to go on a ride for that long. And
we're not able to. Actually, I'm wearing my Costa for Kids shirt right now.
Yeah,
the only reason I'm wearing it, as I said, it's been raining so hard that I've actually worn 2 different versions of that shirt today. I have a whole case of them next to me. But we're not able to do the ride marathons as much as we used to because of like your brain could be rattling around itself. So so this year on my birthday, I did the Small World Ride Challenge. I did it for every $100 that I raised on my Facebook fundraiser. I'd do a consecutive pass on It's a Small World. And I always tell people either I have a lot of friends or I have a lot of people who hate me. So it was one of those things where I was able to raise just under $12,000, which exceeded the amount of hours. And
$12,000.
It was a good pass.
Wow.
So it was, and then again, it was one of the things where it's like people were worried that people would be able to donate, but it was a lot of $10, $20 donations, and then it was one of those stories that people picked up and shared, and they wanted to follow along with. And then what I did was I said, all right, if I raise over $6,000, the value of a wish, I would only eat turkey legs for the day. Like I have to think of other things. And it's like, that's where I knew people hated me, because like that number got really fast. And it was, I ate my first turkey leg, like right when the stand opened at 11 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, oh yeah, that's an awful experience because first off, it's really large. And 2, it's like full of like bones. It's not easy to eat. And it's like, it tastes like ham. And it's like, it really just throws your mind off. And then you have a mask on and then you just like breathe the smell of turkey legs for the rest of the day. And you hate a lot of things. And I was like, well, I've committed to this. It has to be more than 1 turkey leg. So then I was like, all right, I'll do another one at like 2 o'clock. And I was like, and I recorded myself. And I was like, my stomach was like, it was like making noises. Like I was like, either I'm hungry or my stomach did not react well to the turkey leg. And I ate a second turkey leg. And like 15 minutes later, I was like, it was definitely the first turkey leg that made me not feel that great. And then there's like this weird equilibrium problem with Small World where all of a sudden, like Small World's always turning just slightly to the left. And like after enough time of that, like my brain, like it was getting like when I got off the boat, I guess every 2 hours I have to sanitize. So you have to get off and get onto a new boat. And I was like, I'd be like shifting left. And when I laid in bed at the end of the night, I was like everything was moving. I was like from Small World. And then the next morning I had to be at work at 8 a.m. And I kid you not, I was sitting, Pam's in front of me, we're actually talking about Night of a Million Lights. And I would keep going like this. And I would like fall down, like I would shift left. I was like the most tame, calm ride of all time. And I'm having like lingering like side effects from that ride. Like too embarrassed to share with me. I mean, I'll share with you guys. So I was like, my wife feels no pity for anything in my life because she says everything that I've ever done is always self-inflicted. How can I feel bad for you? Is your idea? And I was like, that's fair. That's very rational of you to say to me. So that's, that was a fun fundraiser to do. And my buddy, Omar, he works for me. He's on our team and he's doing ET for his birthday.
Oh, cute.
We were going to we were thinking about using a village ride. I was like, oh my God, the carousel for 12 hours could probably cause damage, or like the Dumbo ride. I was like actually afraid of my health for that one. So I was like, Small World's a simple answer. And I was friends with some of the managers there. So they let me stay on the boat, the consecutive passes, just because I chose a random Thursday in August that, there wasn't a huge queuing problem for it. But, the operators were like all on board. They're like, how many, take a guess though. How many passes of Small World do you think you can do in it was 9 hour. It was 9 hours of operation on Magic Kingdom. So they were on a lower day.
I'm going to say 36.
Hold on. No. Way more than that. Hold on. I'm going to say 45.
Ooh, you're really close.
Yeah. I've been probably a little higher than that, right? Like 48, 49?
32.
32?
Here's the trick. So they tell you how long a pass is, but that's if there was no other boats on the path. So then the problem is if it's slow, they don't dispatch as fast. So then all of a sudden you're being backed up with people move. And then every now and then I'd run into weird boat problems where the 6 feet of spacing on Small World. So if you're in the front row of a boat on Small World, and then the back row of the boat in front of you is less than 6 feet. So they would have to keep watching my boat to arrive to figure out how they're going to fill the boat in front of me. Because when the boats get backed up, I can touch that. They're like 3 feet away from me. But every 2 hours they make me get off, and they have sanitized the boats down, and then they do a pass of sanitized boats, which then slows down the attraction. So with more Small World useless information, I'm glad that Disney World is all indoors because doing an outdoor attraction in August probably would have just been the worst. It did go down for an hour in the day.
Okay, that was my math. I didn't factor in the hour. I took it down from 9 hours to 8. If I was done to 7, I would have been at 35. So
if you had to guess an attraction that I went to that was not Small World, what would be the second worst attraction to do at Magic Kingdom?
Oh, worst in regards to which? I'm sorry.
Mental state.
Oh, mental state?
Tiki Room.
Too
close. No, that's not a ride. I don't consider that a ride.
I would. But, I mean,
carpets.
It was Carousel of Progress.
Yeah, I was gonna say it. I didn't say it. But you could probably fall asleep in there.
So I don't know if you guys did you ever hear about the Walt Disney World Ride Challenge where people try to ride every ride in all 4 parks in a day?
Sure.
So there was a fundraiser that a group of people started for Give Kids World. It raised $175,000 in the 18 months. It was this competitive group of people who often were seeking pledges for like, hey, if will you pledge $1 for every ride that I finished on the challenge? And it became like an impossible task to do when Smuggler's Run was open and Flight of Passage. And so I got really involved in it. I tried 3 times on it. So you have to haul and you have to find, it was when Hollywood Studios would open up at 6 o'clock in the morning and Magic Kingdom would be open until 1 o'clock in the morning. Like it was on a Wednesday in August, like the stars aligned and, you pray to God, Slinky Dog opened up with the park, kind of situation. And then for me, I'm a dad. So I can run through the parks because I would just hold the phone up to my head and be like, where are you? You're lost? I'll be right there. And like nobody stops a dad trying to find like a lost kid. So it was a feat that on the 3rd try, I was able to do it. And it was like it was like almost like cheating. It was after the hurricane passed and nobody was coming out. That's when everyone was like, Galaxy's Edge is a failure. Nobody's going. It was like after the hurricane came and I was like, yeah, the hurricane came. Like you told people not to travel anymore and you didn't have Rise of the Resistance open. So I was able to finish it with an hour and a half of park time to spare. It was 47 attractions. So that like Hall of Presidents doesn't count, but Carousel of Progress does because Carousel of Progress moves. So that's where Pam's tried twice. And she missed 3 attractions both times. And Pam's, she is, much older than me, but she is twice as fast as me and can run laps around me as like, I have like shin splints when I do it, and I try to call in sick the next day and try to claim medical leave. And Pam doesn't allow any of that with me. So Pam is one of those people. She's like 18-hour days in the parks. Let's do this. That's how much fun she can do. She did 38 passes on Gemini. So she's a crazy coaster enthusiast too.
I appreciate that you didn't complain about the music being repetitive.
It's not as bad as people like. It was. Yeah, I think I numbed it out. And then, I had like, can I come ride with you? And I was like, sure. So like you could pass the time with that one. But like my rule of thumb was if there was another family in the ride vehicle, I'm not talking because like I don't want to ruin the experience for the guy. I don't want to be that obnoxious person. And I also don't ever go live in my life. Like I'm not a person like, hey, it's Steven and I'm live in the boat, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Because that's what I just said would be the extent of what I would say. And then people would be like, it's blurry. And who are you? So it's but I said, that's what's fun about this job. It's like, it's like, hey Pam, I got an idea. Can I go do this? And she's like, have at it, kid. So that was my Thursday.
Brought in a lot of money. So yeah, can I go make my half my, whatever, not half your salary, but like, whatever it is of your salary. So that's fantastic. I have a question for Andy. I have a nerdy number. Like, how many times have you ever marathon an attraction, Andy?
Have I ever marathon an attraction?
Yeah.
No, but I've done the Gumball Rally at Disneyland, where I've gone on every attraction in one day, and that's hard to do at Disneyland. And that's just one park.
It's like 56 attractions or something. I forget what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. One thing I did do like 15 years ago was one of my friends and I, we did what we called theme park bomb, where we went to 6 theme parks in one day. We started at Magic Mountain and drove from Magic Mountain down to Disneyland. We went from Magic Mountain to Universal to Adventure City to Knott's. We also went to TBN just to add in another attraction. And then we ended the day at Disneyland California Adventure. We had a rule: we had to ride 2 attractions, eat something, and buy a souvenir. And it was incredible. We did it all. We videotaped the whole thing, and we did this was before YouTube even. And we would just send it to friends and stuff.
At least you bought something and you ate something. Because I always viewed myself as like the absolute worst Disney guest, because like I didn't have time to eat or buy anything, and I was like taking seats on attractions. Like, I'm gonna ride 47 of your rides, which is like 4 times your ratio, and I'm just I'm using my wife's cast pass. Like I'm just here to take up space in your theme park right now. So yeah, you did yours a little bit nicer than what I would have.
I mean, we only had like literally 15 minutes to spare. I mean, we barely made it.
So yeah. I'm going to tell a little nerdy story, and then we'll get back to the topic at hand. But so Country Bear Jamboree in California closed, and like Rachel, you always put me full screen when I'm telling the worst stories. September 9th or so of 2001, the Country Bear Jamboree closed at Disneyland to be converted to the Pooh's, whatever it was called, Pooh's, I don't know what they call it, but the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh attraction. And when it opened up, they had like a 2-week extensive period where they were in soft opening. And my cousin Brandon, who I love dearly, and we were annual pass holders. In 2001, we were in high school. We went to the park, and we rode the attraction during the soft opening period 33 times in one day, with no permission from anybody. We would just get off and kind of go back in line. There wasn't much of a line yet because it wasn't really popular because it was soft opened yet. And so we went on that attraction over 33 times in one day. And it was not for charity. It was nothing for Noble. We didn't post it anywhere. It was just to be nerdy. And I just want to say that. And I appreciate the subtitle there with Patrick tells a great story. So check it out. So no lines in the soft opening period. When the attraction opened, they had like hour-and-a-half lines, and then that quickly subsided. So bringing it back to Give Kids the World, it's clear that we're all theme park nerds, and we can talk about this for hours. As you warned us, Steven, you said we could talk about this for hours. So Give Kids, can you the event is happening. It starts tomorrow as your media preview day. Can you give us like a little bit more logistics about like what to expect when guests come to the event? And when is it every night? And also, like, we've heard of events in the area having a lot of operational challenges. What have you done to strategize so that day one it's not a complete operational? It would be good for the guests, so people can come in seamlessly and not make sure you have restrooms, things like that.
So, all right. In regards to logistics, the event kicks off officially this Friday. And that it'll run every single night until January 3rd. So it's 52 nights of operation. Ticket prices start as low as $25 for adults, $15 for kids. And within that ticket price, of course, they could see all of the lit buildings, but ice cream and hot chocolate are complimentary. All the attractions are free. So we've installed 200 of those 2-dimensional wireframes. We have a 150-foot lit tunnel. As I speak right now, we're installing, we took 2 Sunbelt 60-foot lifts, put them up in the sky. And we have, we're building a Christmas tree from there, so you can probably see it all the way from 192. So, a lot of unique activations in these yards here. And in regards to some COVID precautions, so of course we're mirroring everything that our theme park partners are doing, starting, we go above and beyond. So it starts at home. So we actually have to have you select an arrival time. So it's either 5, 6, 7, or 8 p.m. And we're managing hourly capacity for this event so that we just don't get hit at the gate right away at 5 o'clock and then have the guests, try to spend all 5 hours with us. So each of those hours are capped. And that's just because, we have temperature checks. You have to wear masks. We have ticket scanners. So we want to make sure that there are no crowding situations when you arrive, and that you're dispersed, nicely as soon as you do arrive. And then within our property, just like the theme parks, we have additional hand sanitizer stations. We have all of our facilities are open with the restrooms. We've also brought one of those like super fancy bathrooms in, like you saw, like at the Charmin truck ones that's parked in front of Banyan, right? Which is parked near the entrance of our parking lot there. So, and accessibility, like I said, it's key for us. But I think everybody just needs a little bit of holiday lights in their life right now. It's been a very challenging year for what 2020 is. We just finished an election cycle. For me, when I first saw the lights turn on at this place, it was an emotional response. It was just, you kind of forget about it all. And there's just something about holiday lights and taking a stroll, with the nice cool weather now that's just, it's going to be special. And I think it's, what makes it even better is that, 100% of the funds that you're providing for the ticket fee is just going back to fulfilling a wish. So it really is a 2-for-1 experience.
So I know we only have a few minutes left. Steven, can you take your computer or your phone and give us a quick showing of what we're up against?
Okay, this is gonna be like a really awkward walk for a few seconds, so like bear with me. But I'm gonna leave my camera on so you can watch like the real like MacGyvering of this. Oh, and full screen in it. Okay, hang on. Oh no, I forgot my map. Hang on.
Gotta get the map back on.
I know all the rules here.
Rachel, can you throw a banner up that says like, yeah, there we go. Thank you.
I'm gonna run like it's like a action movie. All right, we're almost there.
Oh no.
It's okay, it'll come back.
We're only like halfway there.
All right.
Oh, let's go.
The connection, we're jumping between routers, folks, but this internet will stay. Oh, you can hear the music. Whoa!
Is it working?
Oh my
Wow.
gosh, look at that.
Man, you weren't kidding. Look at that.
Holy crow. Oh my gosh.
That's like Night of a Billion Lights.
Hold on, Steven, show us that scene again. That's incredible. Oh my gosh, look at that.
It's too many lights.
Yeah, music playing and everything. Wow.
Yeah, so it's it goes, half mile that direction, half mile the other direction,
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Steven, this has been really a joy for you to join us. I know you have to go. You are living at the village right now. So we understand you have to go. Thank you for giving us a preview. We really appreciate it. We'll be back next week reporting from another themed experience. And for those of you watching, please consider donating. Go to the event. It looks fantastic. Andy's going to choreograph all the music for this event. We know it in the next 24 hours. And Steven, we really appreciate you taking the time.
Cool, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Steven.
Take care, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye for now.
See you next week.